Bitcoin price discovery and on-chain dynamics, an in-depth analysis of SDH channels, SDH bands, and RPCVDD bands. Examining key on-chain metrics and dynamic bands to anticipate Bitcoin's next resistance levels. November 12, 2024. Bitcoin's journey through price discovery and market cycles is a phenomenon closely watched by traders, investors, and enthusiasts alike. The ongoing bull run has presented a multitude of price levels and resistance zones where Bitcoin may face challenges, consolidate, or even experience significant pullbacks. In this in-depth analysis, we'll break down a chart based on on-chain metrics, showcasing 3 key types of channels bands that provide a structural roadmap for potential resistance levels and cycle peaks. These channels, derived from on-chain data, include the short-term holder, SDH channels, SDH bands, and RPCVDD bands. By analyzing these channels, we can uncover potential support and resistance levels as Bitcoin advances through price discovery, gaining insight into how these bands may inform the trajectory toward a cycle top. 1. Understanding the structure, the 3 key bands in focus. The chart under analysis visualizes 3 types of channels bands, each derived from unique on-chain metrics, and playing a critical role in defining Bitcoin's price action and potential resistance points. SDH channels. These represent the innermost bands, forming a narrow range based on metrics tied to short-term holders, STH. This range, or comfort zone, typically reflects levels where STHs are most active, with price fluctuations likely to attract buying or selling pressure from recent market participants. SDH bands position beyond the SDH channels. The SDH bands offer a broader view of Bitcoin's price dynamics from the perspective of short-term holders. These bands provide additional context, illustrating zones where speculative price movements may encounter support or resistance, while still being influenced by short-term holder activity. RPCVDD bands, the outermost bands, derived from the realized price to cumulative value of coin days destroyed, RPCVDD, represent an extended range of price dynamics. These bands are generally associated with long-term holder behavior and capture broader market cycles. The RPCVDD bands can be considered a guide to the ultimate peaks of speculative cycles, potentially marking final cycle tops. 2. Key resistance levels and confluence zones. As Bitcoin rallies and enters phases of price discovery, it encounters various resistance zones based on these bands. Let's explore the most significant of these resistance levels in detail. Lower bound of the upper SDH, dynamic bands, $115,000. One of the most notable levels highlighted in this chart is the lower bound of the upper SDH dynamic bands, which is represented by a light blue line. Currently, this level sits at approximately $115,000, marking the point where Bitcoin exits the SDH channel's comfort zone. The importance of this level lies in its convergence with another significant metric, the PI 350D x2 moving average MA. This moving average has historically acted as a strong resistance level, with multiple touches on this line adding confluence and reinforcing the $115,000 level as a critical point where sellers may emerge. When different metrics converge at a specific price level, it often creates a psychological and technical resistance zone where traders may be inclined to lock in profits. Therefore, if Bitcoin's price reaches this $115,000 threshold, it may face temporary resistance due to the combined influence of the SDH dynamic bands and the PI 350D x2 MA. Gap to the RPCVDD, multiple $370,000. Another crucial observation in this chart is the gap between the upper SDH dynamic band and the RPCVDD multiple, which is currently positioned around $370,000. The existence of this gap implies that Bitcoin has significant room to grow within this cycle before approaching the highest band. The RPCVDD band represents the outermost resistance based on on-chain metrics, reflecting a potential upper limit in the current cycle. This high-level resistance zone suggests that Bitcoin may still be in an early stage of its upward trajectory, with the ultimate peak potentially lying within or near the RPCVDD band. This gap between the SDH dynamic bands and the RPCVDD multiple suggests a prolonged phase of price discovery, where Bitcoin could continue to rise significantly before reaching the final cycle top. This outlook aligns with the concept of a multi-stage bull cycle, where the price experiences occasional resistance, but maintains an upward trajectory toward a distant peak. 3. Expected resistance levels in price discovery. Given the structure of these bands, Bitcoin is likely to encounter resistance at certain levels as it advances through price discovery. Based on the chart's configuration, here are the anticipated resistance points. $115,000. As discussed, this is the first major resistance level due to the lower bound of the upper SDH dynamic bands, which aligns with the PI 350D x2 MA. This level represents a significant threshold, where Bitcoin would exit the SDH channels and enter a speculative phase. The confluence at this level suggests a high probability of temporary resistance, where the price may consolidate or experience a pullback. $150,000. If Bitcoin successfully breaks through the $115,000 level, the next major resistance is expected around $150,000. This level lies within the upper section of the SDH bands, marking another point where speculative interest may encounter resistance. This resistance is more of a checkpoint within the ongoing price discovery process, rather than a final peak. $370,000 RPCVDD band. Finally, the upper boundary of the RPCVDD bands, currently positioned around $370,000, serves as the most significant resistance zone. This level could represent the ultimate cycle peak in this bull run. Given the substantial gap between the $150,000 level and the RPCVDD band, Bitcoin may have a long journey upward with intermittent resistance at various price levels. Reaching this level would suggest a mature phase of the current cycle, potentially followed by a distribution phase. 4. Dynamic nature of the bands. One important feature of these bands is their dynamic nature. Unlike static support and resistance levels, these bands evolve alongside price action, adjusting to changes in on-chain metrics. This adaptability provides real-time insight into the current cycle, helping to anticipate support and resistance zones as the price progresses. The dynamic aspect of these bands means that while $115,000 and $150,000 are current resistance levels, they may shift as Bitcoin's price action develops. This flexibility allows for more responsive analysis and increases the reliability of these bands as indicators of support and resistance. 5. Long-term implications. A roadmap to the cycle top. The chart structure and band configuration suggest that Bitcoin is still in a growth phase, with substantial room for further upward movement. Here's what the current setup implies for Bitcoin's long-term trajectory. Initial resistance at $115,000. The first significant test will occur around $115,000, where Bitcoin would encounter its initial major resistance. The confluence with the PI 350DX2 may reinforces this level's significance, making it likely that the price may face a temporary pullback or consolidation here. Path toward $150,000. Should Bitcoin break past the $115,000 level, it could continue its journey upward, with the $150,000 level marking a secondary resistance. This level lies within the speculative range of the SDH bands and represents another milestone in Bitcoin's path toward price discovery. Potential cycle top at $370,000. The RPCVDD band, sitting around $370,000, forms the uppermost resistance and could represent the peak of this cycle. Given the considerable distance between the $150,000 and $370,000 levels, there is potential for sustained growth if the price manages to break through intermediate resistance zones. The substantial gap between these bands underscores the possibility of a long-term bull phase. Conclusion: navigating Bitcoin's price discovery with on-chain metrics. This chart provides a structured approach to understanding Bitcoin's potential resistance zones as it progresses through the current bull cycle. By examining the SDH channels, SDH bands, and RPCVDD bands, we can anticipate key levels where Bitcoin may face resistance and gain insight into how far the price might rise before reaching the ultimate cycle top. In summary, $115,000 is the first major resistance, strengthened by the PI 350DX2 confluence. $150,000 serves as a secondary checkpoint within the speculative range. $370,000 RPCVDD band represents the potential cycle peak. These levels provide a clear roadmap, with each level acting as a potential resistance zone based on on-chain dynamics. The dynamic nature of these bands means that the analysis can adapt to changes in price action, allowing traders to adjust their strategies in response to evolving support and resistance levels. As Bitcoin continues to advance, these on-chain metrics offer valuable insight into the asset's path through price discovery, supporting a bullish outlook with occasional consolidation or pullbacks at key levels. This analysis underscores the importance of understanding on-chain dynamics to navigate the market effectively, particularly as Bitcoin approaches historic price zones in this cycle.